If you're a fan of Batman, you've probably seen the 1960s television series. It starred Adam West and Burt Ward as the Cape Crusaders. It was a great show, mostly because it was lighthearted. It didn't take itself too seriously. It was written for kids from 8 to 13, 14 years old. If you were that age when you were first exposed to it, there's one thing that stood out to you, and that was the Batmobile. This was a black car trimmed in red. It shot flames out the back and had parachutes and all kinds of gadgets. It was everything that you thought your car should be if you had an unlimited budget, say like Bruce Wayne. One thing you may not have known is that car was a Ford product. And today we're going to get into exactly what type of Ford product it was and a little bit of history of how that Ford product became the Batmobile. The Batmobile made its first appearance in Detective Comics number 27 in 1939, which was also the debut of the Batman. This car was simply a streamlined car that fit the needs of a vigilante who operated in the shadows. Over the years, as Batman's comic books evolved, so did his car. It went from a practical crime-fighting tool into a flashy, futuristic vehicle. While the Batman television series was being developed for a January 1966 air date, the producers realized that the Cape Crusaders needed a hot-looking, unique vehicle for crime fighting. It needed to be an American car, but one that would have all the gadgets like the James Bond car from Goldfinger, which had been released 2 years earlier, and maybe just a bit more. The producers turned to Dean Jeffries, who drew up plans to alter a 1959 Cadillac Eldorado. He was told the Batmobile needed to be screen-ready in 3 weeks, and he decided to walk away from the project as it was just too tight a timeline. The producers then turned to George Barris. Barris had been known around Hollywood for customizing cars. His credits included the 1921 Oldsmobile for the Beverly Hillbillies and the Munster coach for the show The Munsters. Barris knew exactly which car he would like to use for the Batmobile. Barris had purchased a Lincoln prototype from Ford Motor Company. It was built for the 1955 Chicago Auto Show and designed by Ford's top designers, and the Italian Ghia Design Studio hand-built this car. Ford used it as a showcase of the company's design capabilities in a promotional film, The Secret Door. The car was the Lincoln Futura. It was a one of one, it had no title or serial number, and therefore was uninsurable. It had no resale value and was no longer of use to Ford after its promotional tour ended. Now, Ford had spent over $250,000 building this car in 1955. However, George Barris stated he paid $1 for it. The Futura sat behind Barris's shop for a few years prior to his being approached by the Batman producers, but Mr. Barris saw in his mind the potential of the Lincoln Futura as the Batmobile, and he agreed to take on the project. With a budget of $15,000 and 3 weeks to complete it, Barris got to work. The tail fins of the Futura were altered and brought all the way to the front of the doors. The bulged hood was perfect, however, the front of the car needed more of a bat-like appearance, so the bulge was extended and narrowed to a point all the way into the car's grille. The headlamp buckets were massaged and mesh grills were added, giving the front of the car the desired look. The chrome was stripped and the side trim was molded into the wheel lips, forming wheel arch flares, and further extended into the car's grille. The center section of the bubble airplane-style canopy was simply removed and a center arch divider was added. The rear of the car featured bat-like wings on the tail fins. Barris added a center turbine exhaust and dual parachutes. The entire car was painted black and accented by red. Custom chrome wheels were mounted. Bat emblems and decals were applied, and to top it off, a red police light was mounted in the center of the car's arch divider.
Turn on the Batscope, Robin. Let's see what's on the Gotham City TV news report.
There it is, folks. An uninvited entry here at the Parkhurst Galleries. As you can see, the artist Progress Pigment has his contraption working, and the only word to describe it is wild.
That beret, the beard, the dark glasses. There is a way we could make sure. The Bat Photoscope.
Sure. It'll activate the microfilm crime file in the Batcave and transmit a normal photograph of the Clock King to us here.
How does it look, Robin?
Holy masquerade! It's Clock King!
For the interior, Barris added switches, levers, and knobs everywhere in the car's cockpit. These were neatly labeled for Batman and Robin, as well as for the show's viewers at home. There was the ejector seat, a bat radar, a bat smokescreen, lasers, a nail spreader, a front-mounted chain cutter, rockets, the bat phone, a mobile crime computer that linked to the computer in the Batcave, an automatic tire inflation device, an anti-fire activator, and my favorite, the emergency bat turn lever, which allowed the car to completely defy the laws of physics and do a quick 180-degree turn.
Yes, Commissioner? A patrolman has just called in. There's another man giving away free umbrellas, boy wonder. Outside the bank at Jefferson and 12th.
Roger.
Bank, Jefferson and 12th.
Hold tight. Bat turn.
The writers of the show added other Bat features as the storylines required them over the years, and switches were simply relabeled. The Batmobile was powered by a Ford 390 cubic inch V8. However, this engine was never shown on screen because, as we all know, the Batmobile utilizes a Bat turbine engine. The producers of the show had Barris create 3 additional fiberglass replicas of the Batmobile for car shows and other promotional appearances. Molds of the original body were made, and Ford Galaxies, also powered by Ford 390s, were modified for the conversions. The 3 replicas were apparently cranked out rather quickly, with Barris stating it was one long weekend. None of these were ever used on the television show. One of these cars was built specifically for drag racing. It was referred to as the Dragster. This was powered by a Hallman and Moody built and blueprint 427 cubic inch side oiler with twin 4-barrel carburetors. The car had an Art Car C6 automatic Ford transmission and a posi traction rear end with 5.14 rear gears, and it actually shot flames out the turbine exhaust. There's a story of Mr. Barris being pulled over by the California Highway Patrol for deploying the Batmobile's functioning parachutes on a public highway. The patrolmen were so impressed with the real Batmobile and its creator that they let Barris go with a warning. The value of the finished Batmobile in 1966 was approximately $125,000. In 2013, the original Futura Batmobile sold for $4.6 million at the Barrett-Jackson Auto Auction with George Barris on stage to talk about the car. In June 2015, it was sold again for over $5 million, and in November of 2015, George Barris sadly passed away. The original Futura 1966 Batmobile currently resides in the Hollywood Stars Collection in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, alongside one of Barris's other creations, the Munsters Dragula. George Barris's Batmobile wasn't the first Batmobile to appear on screen. In 1943, Columbia Pictures put out a 15-episode serial called The Batman. That Batmobile was basically a car. It was a 1939 Cadillac Series 75. When the top was down, it was Bruce Wayne's car. When the top was up, it became the Batmobile. What Barris brought to the Batmobile in 1966 has certainly been expanded upon in the newer movies. Now, of course, they have a lot more time and a much higher budget than Barris ever had. But if not for his vision back in 1966, I don't think we'd have as cool a Batmobiles as we have today. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. That helps other folks see it. Also, consider subscribing. I have a lot of content like this on the channel. This video right over here, we cover the Australian-built Falcon XB GT. Now, you may not be familiar with that car unless you know it's Mad Max's original car in the original Mad Max movie. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Till next time, we'll see you.